Hi everyone and welcome back to Tari Planners. Today we're going to be walking through the appointment and revenue system with VAT monitoring. This system has been set up so that you're able to record all of the appointment information with all of your clients, keep track of all of your revenue and your income, and then ensure that you are remaining compliant with VAT. What that means is it's taking into account the 12-month rolling basis and ensuring that you are going to be able to register for VAT within a timely manner. Currently, at the time of recording this video, the VAT threshold is set at £90,000. So once you make any qualifying revenue above £90,000, you need to register for VAT. And if you think in the next month you're going to go over that £90,000 threshold, you need to register for VAT. So this system supports you in being able to keep an eye on that information and ensure that you are registering within a timely manner. It also allows you to keep on top of your business income and revenue to be able to see patterns and plan effectively. So we're starting today in the setup tab. So the setup tab asks you some generic questions, which are, do you issue invoices to your clients and do your clients pay before or after the service is delivered? So you will need to answer these questions before starting anything else in your system, and this is because it helps the system to be able to identify correctly which date it should be using for the purposes of VAT monitoring. So after you've done that, you won't have to change anything else. You then have our normal setup procedures. So we have our company name, your company logo, the industry or the occupation that you're part of. You're going to enter your currency. You're also going to enter your country. Now, for the sales tax rate, if you have not yet registered for VAT, please keep your sales tax rate at 0. For now, I'm going to keep it at 20% so I can show you some of the functionality further along in our system. When you first go into the spreadsheet and you're setting it up, if you have not yet registered for VAT and you have not yet reached that VAT threshold, then please include this number as 0. Everything in green on this tab should be left alone. Please do not change any of it because it will impact the functionality of this spreadsheet. Then you have some other options of payment methods, so you can add some additional options here. For your additional service details, you can add all of the options here as well as these ones here. What we will do is leave these sections pre-populated, but you can delete and change it in this specific column because this is very much dependent on the type of business you're running. So in this example, we have used a person or a consultant who is running mentoring sessions and coaching sessions, and therefore our additional service details are where it's taking place. So we've got online Zoom, online Google Meet, etc. But your one might be different. If you're a gym instructor or a PT, your one might say outside park or the specific gym name. We then have our task statuses. All of these are in green, so please do not change any. And then in category, this is for our task tracker. So depending on how you're using your task tracker will then impact what you put into this category section. So for here, we've said we're going to use it to plan our business strategy. So we've got lead generation, marketing, income generation. And once again, we are going to leave these sections in so that it gives you a prompt, but you may choose to change it at a later date. So the next tab we're going to look at is our appointments dashboard. So this dashboard is going to give you an overview of what your upcoming day looks like, as well as some snapshots of the information that's pulling out of your appointment tracker. So as you can see here, it's telling us that we have 5 appointments coming up this week. We have 3 members of staff. There are 13 clients that we are currently working with, 8 services that are available, and we've booked a total of 24 appointments. And our average client satisfaction rating is 4 stars. So here you'll have your overall calendar just telling you what day it is. When it changes to green, that is basically the day of the month that you're in. You then have your upcoming schedule for today. So for example, if you had clients booked in today, it would give you those clients' names across the schedule. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly change some information so you can see that happening. So here we can see that we have got Fiona booked today from 5 to 5:45, and then we also have Lisa booked from 7:15 to 7:45. And all of that information is pulling from your appointment tracker tab. Now, as we scroll down, we can see when the majority of our appointments take place, it's telling us that most of our appointments take place on a Monday, which is 27.3% of our business. This can be used for you to be able to see, okay, what days would it be worth me maybe closing and focusing on admin or strategic tasks as opposed to delivering services. So in this case, that might be a Friday because we don't have that many clients booking in on a Friday. And what days can we not do that? So clearly here it is going to be a Monday. We would have to always be working on the Monday. So it helps you plan out your time and your schedule effectively without you having to dig really deep into the data. It gives you that automatically. We then also have who is our most regular client. So our most regular client is Nala from this example, but we also have clients such as David and Perry and Penelope who come in just as regularly, and then Lisa. So what this might do, might prompt you to say, actually, these clients should be our VIP clients. We should offer them more perks, more discounts, or offer them more availability because these clients support our business the most. So it's just giving you a snapshot so that you're able to do that more easily without having to go into your big database of appointments, and you're able to see that right here on your dashboard. Now below that, we have our staff cards and we have our client cards. Now in this system, you're able to record client records as well as staff records. But just so you don't have to keep flicking back and forth from the tabs, you can easily click down here, go to a name of a member of staff. So here I'm going to click Chrissy, and you'll be able to see how long that person has been a member of staff, how you pay them, any notes you might have included, as well as the total amount of appointments they have actually taken. Now, this is telling us that Chrissy actually takes 36.4% of the appointments. Now, if we flick back to Rihanna, you'll be able to see that Rihanna, or myself in this example, I take 45.5% of the appointments. So you can see the spread of your business across the staff that you use. Now, this doesn't only have to be used for staff. It could also be used for freelancers. You can update your staff records tab with your freelancer information, because later on in this system, you can put in information around tasks and track tasks and measure to see who's completing what when, how quickly it's being done, and if it's being done on time. And in that case, you would then be able to pull the information for your freelancers in exactly the same way. It would still come under the heading of staff, but you would know for yourself that it is a freelancer. You can then put in your levels. So we've got expert here, telephone number, email address, and also birthday information if you wanted to buy your staff or your freelancers any presents or gifts for their birthday. Now we have a similar drop down over here for our client. And in here, we've got different clients. So I'm just going to click David. And as you can see here, David has been designated a VIP customer. He's been with us for 1 year and 1 month, and his lifetime spending has been £600. Now, this £600 is the net amount. It doesn't include any tax. It doesn't include any tips, nothing. It is just the net amount, so the value of your service. You can see here also that career coaching is his favorite service from us. And in total, he's had 3 visits, which tallies up to this amount here. And there's been a total of 3 services done. So what you can see here is that 2 services have been completed, which means that he's actually attended and paid for those services. And 1 is open. So it means he's confirmed it, but he's not yet attended. We've got all of our preferences. And that is going to be updated in your client records, as well as telephone number, email address, and also birthday information. If we go across to here, this is going to give us a quick appointments breakdown. So what we can see here is that of the 24 appointments that we've had 20 completed and 4 as no-shows. If we scroll back up here, we can see that we have a total of 24 appointments in our schedule. So that clearly shows you've got a low cancellation rate, which is very, very good. And you would want to maintain like a very low cancellation or no-show rate. We then have here a list of our VIP clients. So it's telling us that 23% of our active clients are actually VIP clients. And here we can see it's David, Charmaine, and Fiona. And as I mentioned before, we can see actually that Nala is someone who attends the most regularly. So this would be a question as to, should we also make Nala a VIP client? The designation of VIP client is also done in the client records. Remember, this is just a snapshot and just gives you all of the information in one place. The next tab is our business overview, so our dashboard for finance. Now, this is where you're going to be able to see your VAT review and your VAT monitoring, and it will tell you that your rolling 12-month taxable turnover is X. Now, this wording is automatic and should not be changed, and similarly, this prompt should also not be changed either. So what this is taking is the VAT date that has been calculated based on either the invoice date, the cash paid date, or your check-in date. All of these dates are all important. So if you do send invoices to your clients, in your setup tab, please tick that you issue invoices to your clients. When you click that, you will need to include your invoice issue date. So the date that you actually created and sent it to your client. If you don't send invoices, please tick no, and I'll show you why shortly. But if we just go back to our business overview, so our finance dashboard, you'll be able to see here that this is telling you that your current rolling 12-month amount is 2,950, which is below the VAT registration threshold. Now, as you creep up, this will change. So, for example, when you have reached between £80,000 and £89,000, you will get a new prompt that will tell you that you are nearing the VAT threshold. Now, we've set it at £80,000 because the assumption is that you may reach the £90,000 within the next month. So if you think you're going to reach that £90,000 within the next month, or it's viable that you will reach that £90,000 within the next month, then the VAT registration rules are that you have to register for VAT, even though you have not yet reached the £90,000. So we have put this prompt in as something to basically remind you that this might be the time that you need to register for that if you make high enough sales that you think you can make £10,000 in a month. If you're only making £2,000 or £3,000, then that may not be the case. But bear in mind, it is a 12-month rolling period. So it's not calendar months, it's rolling. So if you had a very high month within the first month of the 12-month rolling, then you need to just bear that in mind, that possibly can happen. Now, once you reach that £90,000 threshold, the warning becomes red, and it basically just tells you it is your time. You have breached. And because you've breached, you have a specific amount of time to register for that. So you need to check the issue dates of your most recent invoices to identify which month you've crossed in. Ensure that you're doing it within 30 days of that month. And if anything, this is the time that you would go to a professional to seek advice. Every person's VAT position and VAT registration may be different. So it is very important that you go and seek professional advice at this point. Okay, so then from there, we have our total revenue. Now, this total revenue is a sum of our actual revenue, so all of the money that we have been paid based on us changing the status to paid, and all of our potential revenue. Now, our potential revenue is everything that has been confirmed, anything that has been rescheduled. It's money that is still up in the air. If someone is a no-show or if someone has cancelled, then that money will not be included in either of these balances. So you'll be able to see from these two amounts that your total revenue is that total. From there, we're able to see our average net income, so our subtotal income, our average tips if you receive tips, and also our average gross income by week or by month. So here I'm going to change it to month, and you'll be able to see from here, and I've got it as subtotal. You'll be able to see from here that in January, we made the majority of our income. So if we just click on and hover over, our subtotal for January, or our net income for January, was £206.25. And then for February, it was 150, and then we haven't got any information in for March. So it's going to tell us here that January is our highest contributing month for that year. Now, we can also check to see by tips. And because there are no tips included, it's just going to be 0. And then you can check to see by your total. So that is your gross income. Now we can do this by week also. And this way you can see the day of the week. Now for the day of the week, we can see here that Wednesday is our highest earning day on average. So 480. And Monday, which is the day that most of our appointments get taken on, isn't actually our highest generating income day. Friday continues to be low. So once again, as we noticed in the last tab, in our appointments tab, actually Friday might be a day where we just say we are not going to work on that day. So our highest contributing day, as we can see, is Wednesday, and that contributes to 33.37% of our total income. And if you put it on our subtotal income, it's the same because we don't have any tips. So next we're looking at the breakdown by service. So currently we're looking at relationship coaching, but we can look at career coaching. So what we're seeing from here is that career coaching contributes 21% of total revenue. So this is giving you a breakdown of not only the service, but how much revenue it's contributing, depending on the status of the actual appointment. So here we've got the price at £250. The total paid so far, so the amount of completed appointments, is £500. We have had no cancellations, and we've also had no reschedules. So we've got a total of £500 paid and a total of £250 confirmed or scheduled. So our total potential revenue is £750, but our current revenue is £500. Hopefully that makes sense, but that's how the top bit is reading. We then can see that we've had 3 appointments made. So out of the 3 appointments, 2 have been completely paid for and 1 has been confirmed. As we said, we've had no cancellations and no reschedules. So over here we can see of the total number of booked, currently this sits at 3. So it's kind of in the middle of all of the services that we have available. So this is showing you all of our available services. Now, of the top 5 contributors to total revenue, we have career coaching, health mentoring, career mentoring, relationship coaching, and life coaching. And this is just showing a broken down bar chart of how much it is contributing. Now, if we move down here, we can see our highest actual revenue service is, like we've noted up here, career coaching, which gives us £500. Our most cancelled service is actually life mentoring. So if we click up here and we go to life mentoring, we'll notice that we have 1 cancellation, and that's been cancelled 1 time, and we've lost revenue of £200. So that's the £200 there. We then have the impact of no-shows. So for all of the services where we've had no-shows, the highest number of no-shows is for relationship mentoring, and we've lost revenue of £200. But actually, there is 1 more no-show service that has taken place. So here we can see in January, if we look at our no-shows, that's £350, and that's a total £350 here. So in this box, we have our month-on-month comparison. Now we can do this by month and by status, or just by month. So currently we only have data in the appointment tracker for January and February. What that means is that you'll be able to only look at the revenue, net revenue for those 2 months. But as you add more months in, you'll be able to review and compare more months. Down here, we've got by status. So if we click on February and we look at our paid for February, we have £750 of paid, and for confirmed, we have £150. Now, scrolling down to the bottom, you'll be able to see our task tracker. Now, the task tracker is automatically populating from the task tracker tab, and it shows you your most pressing or your most urgent task by date. So it shows you up to 8 tasks in your dashboard, but obviously you can see more tasks in your task tracker tab, and it is going to show that by due date. Over here, we've just got a summary of all of our tasks which are in our task tracker tab. So at the moment, we have 3 tasks that are due. We have no tasks that are due today, and all of our tasks are overdue. So at the moment, we have no tasks that are completed on schedule. If we then move over to here, we've got our task by employee overview. As I mentioned before, you may not have employees or staff members, but you may actually have freelancers. So you can just put your freelancers into your staff records and you'll be able to pull up this information for the tasks. So here we're going to look at tasks that have been allocated to me, Rihanna. So at the moment it says that I have 0 tasks due today. I have 2 tasks assigned. 1 is completed and 1 is actually overdue. So far, I have a total of only 1 task being completed on time, and therefore it's a 50% ratio. So here we're coming into the heart of our tracker. This is what runs the bulk of the information in this system. So this is your appointments tracker, and it's very, very important that you fill in every single piece of information to ensure that you are experiencing the full automation of this system. Now I'm just going to go column by column. Each one is very easy to fill in, and if you ever get confused, please look at the written instructions, but each single one of these are pretty much self-explanatory and very, very easy to fill in. So we are going to do one together. So the appointment date is the appointment that you have given to the client. So if you double click into the box, we'll do an appointment date of the 9th of February. Now, all of your green boxes, all of your green columns are going to automatically populate. This is quite a large system, so please give it a little bit of time. But as you can see here, the day of the week has automatically populated with Monday. We're then going to give it a start time. Now, all of our times have to be in the 24-hour clock format. So here I'm going to do 15:00, tab it across, and I'm going to end it at 16:30, tab it across. Now, like I said, give this a little bit of time and you will see that the duration auto-populates because, as I've said before, all of the green boxes need to be left alone. Now we're going to select our client name, and as I've said before, the client names are all updated in the client record. So this drop down is going to automatically populate every single time you add a new client. So we're going to give this to Charmaine. Now we're going to have a list of services. Now our services could be 1 service, or it could be 2, 3, 4 services. It depends on what you're given. Now I'm going to say Charmaine is going to do career coaching. The price has auto-populated. The subtotal has auto-populated to £250. And then I'm also going to say she's going to do some relationship coaching. And now you can see that the price has auto-populated to £400. This is one of the best bits of this system. It just automatically populates all of your prices. You don't have to go in and manually write it down. It's just going to auto-populate from your price list. The automation in this system is phenomenal. Now, you can hard type any additional information that you want in. So maybe like 45 mins for each. Maybe that's what we're going to put in. Then in the additional service details, which is populated on the setup tab, you can put in any additional details. So here I'm going to say it is actually a phone call. Now in this box, we're going to put staff member. Now, if you're using this system as a solopreneur, you're still going to add yourself as a staff member in staff records so that you can add your name to each of the appointments. This helps drive the calendar function in the calendar view tab. So now I'm going to just add my name. And then this section is very, very important. And this is because it's for our VAT tracking and monitoring. So we assume that the same day the appointment is for is the same day they're going to check in. The check-in date is basically the day on which the service takes place. So the appointment took place on the 9th of February and it started at 3 p.m. Remember, we're adding it in 3 p.m. So that is so important. I know it seems like a minor detail, but please make sure you put that in. Now, for whatever reason, we have decided to give Charmaine a discount of £50. As you can see, I've put that in as a positive number, not a negative number. So we're going to include that as £50. Now, we currently have no sales tax, but what I'm going to do as a quick show is if I put 20% in here and we go back to our appointment tracker, you can see that the 20% has been automatically calculated. So we're going to put this back to 0. The next thing we're going to do is include a tip if we have any tips, and I can put it at £20, for example. You can see all of the numbers automatically updating as we go through. And then we're going to put in our payment method, which is auto-populated from the setup. So I'm going to say here, cash. We'll scroll across once more. And now, once again, this is another very, very important box. This appointment status is going to drive whether it shows up as no-show, paid, cancelled, rescheduled, all of that information that we had on our finance dashboard as well as our appointments dashboard. So here we're going to put it as confirmed. And once Charmaine pays, if she pays before the appointment, on the appointment date, after the appointment date, you're going to need to include that information in this payment box. So we're going to put it as the 9th. Now, this box here has been grayed out because of an answer that we gave in the setup tab. So if I go back to the setup tab here, do you issue invoices to your clients, yes or no? I've clicked no, and therefore that column has been grayed out. But if I click yes and go back to our appointment tracker, you'll notice that you can see this invoice date box. So if you are issuing invoices, as I said before, you're going to include the check-in date, the payment date, and the invoice date. These are all very important for getting the correct VAT date. They may not always be the same date. So I'm going to go back and select no in this instance. Please make sure you're only selecting one of the two, not both. And also ensure that you're selecting before or after here as well. If a customer cancels and you have refunded them some money, please ensure that you are putting the refund date in as well. That removes that amount from the VAT date calculation. You don't want to be calculating that you've made more revenue in a 12-month period than you actually have because you haven't been recording your cancellations. Finally, you've got your star ratings. And finally, we have got our notes. So any other additional notes that you need to add in, you can put into this box here. So that is basically your appointment tracker. A lot of information to put in, but it's so quick to do so. Imagine you've taken an appointment, you've made an appointment with one of your clients. You are basically just going to come in, put in that information, who it's with, the amount. Once they've paid, you're going to ensure that you've put your correct payment date or invoicing date. If you're using the Tari Planner's invoice system, then whichever date you issue your invoice, you would put that date in there. And that's how you can use a lot of these systems together. So moving on to the next tab, which is a 7-day quick view. Now, this 7-day quick view is fully automated. There is nothing that you have to do on this specific tab. It is just to give you an overview of the next 7 days so you can see what you have booked in, which day it is, the start time, which client, which staff member, and the overall status. This is a planning tool. It really just helps you to plan your week through easily. Now, this tab is the weekly appointments calendar view. But on this calendar view, you can actually pick which month, what start time you want to start your day at to look from, what day of the week you're going to start looking from, and then what week in the month. And then you will click which staff member you want to do it by. So if you see here, we've got a little black box in the corner. It just says to enter the first day of the month you want to display. So here I have clicked the 1st of February. And then you can say what time you want it to start. So I have it set at 7 a.m. but you can easily just put it at 8 a.m. and that is going to update, and you'll notice that this number changes from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. and everything should push upwards. Now you can see that it's currently the 9th, that's what's highlighted green, but we can change it to be the 1st, or so if I unclick this and click here, give it some time, it will now be from the 1st. So we've got the 1st of February and it's showing everything that we had in that week. Currently, I don't have any technicians selected or staff selected who may have had appointments that week. We'll go back to the 9th because we know that we have bookings on the 9th. And as I said, it is super important that you include yourself on the staff records tab, even if you are a solopreneur using the system, because this calendar view requires you to select a member of staff. So here we've selected Lara, and it's showing us that between 5 p.m. and 5:45 p.m. Lara actually has Fiona as an appointment. And I'm going to select myself, And it should also show us that we have an appointment with Charmaine, as you can see. So I've got an appointment with Charmaine. I've also got an appointment with Ryan. So this is 3 till 4. This is 3 till 4:30. This is 5 till 6. And I've also got an appointment with Chloe on February 14th. So that's how you would use this calendar view tab. The next tab is your client records. So as mentioned, all of your client information needs to be populated into this tab in order for your drop downs to auto populate. So when you have a new client, you're just going to add their name in. So we're just going to put Rick in here. Then you're going to select your client status. You've got active, you've got VIP, and you've got churn. So I'm going to put Rick as a VIP. You would then add their telephone number. So just put a few numbers in there. And then you'd put their email address. So we can put rick@example.com. Birthday. Now this is if you want to send your clients any birthday presents, maybe a gift voucher, discount codes, whatever that may be. So here we can just put in, say, like the 29th of the 12th. In preferences, you can leave this blank if there are no preferences. So when you go to your appointments dashboard, if I scroll down now, you'll see Rick at the bottom of my list. He has no lifetime spending. This is why there are no graphs showing up. But what you can see here is it says no preferences or requirements. So if we go back here and I typed in Lara as a staff member, then it now tells you that preferences/requirements are Lara. So depending on what your preferences and requirements are set up as, for example, if you have a client who is allergic to certain things, you may say like requirements are no nuts if you're working in food services, for example. Finally, we're going to add in our client start date. So the client start date is going to be today. And you'll see here that it's automatically populated to say total time with us is 0 years, 0 months, no lifetime spend, and no outstanding balances. Now, if we scroll across, we'll be able to see someone like David has had 3 scheduled appointments, 1 confirmed, 1 completed, none cancelled. We've got some people who miss appointments regularly. So this is Charmaine. And this is just a good way for you to eyeball, okay, what are certain clients doing? Like, do they have missed appointments? Why, etc. We've got a lifetime spend of £500 with David. We've got £400 with Carly. So if we go back to our dashboard, we can see obviously that Nala is our most regular client, but it's David who is actually spending the most money. So if we go back to David down here, lifetime spend is £500, but if I click on Nala, it's only £300, and actually Nala has churned, which means she has left the service. So if we have a look over here, we can see Nala, and we can see that £300, and there was actually an outstanding balance of £100. And that is her open appointment here. So what we're going to do is we are now going to look at staff records. So this allows you to include up to 10 members of staff. If you're a solopreneur, please still fill this in just for yourself. And then you're able to add any freelancers that you may use, etc. So this is filled in a similar way to the client record tab. You're just going to include staff name, telephone number, email address, birthday. We've got experience level here. We then have hire date. So you'd put in whatever date you hired the individual. Any appointments handled is going to automatically populate from the appointment tracker. And then the way in which you pay them, you may add some additional ones here. We've included and will leave for you invoice, salary, dividends, commission, and hourly wage. You can then add any additional information and notes that you want. And as I mentioned earlier, if you go back through to your appointments tracker, you have the staff card. So you're able to see all of that information populate here. So now this tab is an easy way for you to review any one of your clients' appointment history. So if we drop down to Charmaine, for example, we can see here that we've got all of the dates in which she's had an appointment. All of the information from the appointment tracker pulls through automatically onto this tab. So we can see she's got the career coaching, the relationship coaching, any additional notes we've included, the dates and the times, any discount amounts. We're also able to see payment dates, invoice date if we had it, etc., and any notes. This is just a good way for you to review any potential information from her last appointment. You'd be able to scroll down and say, okay, this was any notes that we added on last time. What do we need to do next time, etc. The next tab is your service and pricing list. Now, this service and pricing list is very, very simple to use. You have 5 categories in which you can list a number of items. So what you're going to do here is under coaching, we may add Pilates. Once you add Pilates coaching, your currency sign will automatically populate depending on what you put in the setup tab. And then you're just going to add the price. So we're going to do Pilates coaching for £100. Now, when we go back to our appointment tracker and we go to our actual service drop down, you will notice that we now have Pilates coaching showing up. So that's basically how you use your services tab. So if I click Pilates coaching, you'll see £100 automatically populates because that is the amount that we put in. Now, something to note here is that if you ever change the price of something, say for example, you've been doing Pilates coaching for a while, but now you have updated pricing, and you go in and you change this price to £200, it is going to automatically update any appointment, past and present and future, that have Pilates coaching to the new £200 amount. So what I recommend is that if you have a new price, say every year you update, you'll put Pilates 2026. And now that is going to be £200. So when you go into your appointment tracker, everything, all of your historical appointments are going to stay at £100. But now when you select Pilates 2026, it's £200. So you're not going to retrospectively change the price of any of the appointments that have gone through, because that will impact on your VAT monitoring, and it will also impact on just your overall revenue figures when you're looking at them. So just bear that in mind and make sure that you're following that step. So the next tab is your task tracker tab. Now, sometimes when you come into the spreadsheet, you may not see your graphs come up. Just refresh your page and the graphs should come up automatically. Now, the task tracker tab is super important for us. It's a way for you to be able to manage any important tasks that you may have or that your team may have. And it's a good way for you to be able to track without having to micromanage people and being able to see where you're losing time in your business. Now, we don't have any recommendations for how you use this. You could use this for personal, you could use this for team management, you can use this for business admin management, you can use it for whatever you deem fit to use it for. However, it is a really important tool when it comes to running your business or managing and supporting your personal life. So how you use this tab is you put in the task name. So we're just going to call it task 6. And then we are going to give it a category. The categories are all set up from the setup tab. In this example, we're using it for business task management. So I'm going to say that this category is income generation. Then you need to put in whether it's been started, not started, so basically the status. So this one I'm going to say it's not started. Now, as you can see here, these are all changing color. So not started is red. It's also updated here because it's showing you that you have 16.7% of your tasks that are not started yet. So then we have priority. So I'm going to give it a medium priority. As you can see, medium priority is orange. And then the due date, I'm going to say is today, just as an example. So anything that is due today will go into a green color and it will tell you how many days you have left. Now I'm going to assign it to someone. I'll assign it to Chrissy. And this completed box is not going to update until you change the status to completed. And the completed on or before due date is not going to get a tick box until you select what date you completed it. So let's say that this was actually due on the 5th. As you can see, it's red and it's telling you that it's minus 4 days, which means that it's 4 days overdue. If it was due on the 19th, you'll see that the color is still fine, but it's telling you you've got 10 days to complete it. So we're going to say it's due on the 5th, and we are now going to say that it's completed today. So completed, we've got a tick box, and I'm going to go into this box and say I completed it. Now, because I obviously completed it on the 9th as opposed to the 5th, it's telling me I did not complete the task by the due date. Yes, it is completed, which is great, but it wasn't completed by the due date. You're able to see how people or how you are completing your tasks. Are you doing them on time? Are they running over? Is there spillage? What's the issue? What is the time gap here? So now if you just look at the task by team member tab. Now this is another one of those tabs where you do not have to do anything but select from the drop down. So we're going to look at, what does Chrissy have to do? Right. So she has a total of 1 task that is due today, including overdue tasks. She also has 0 tasks that are due actually for today. As you can see, total of 1 overdue task, and she has completed 1 task. So what you're seeing here is Chrissy still has a task in progress, but she's completed 1 task. That's why it's saying, although this was due on the 5th of February, it's still due today because it was due 4 days ago. So 9th of February today. This one she has completed, but she didn't complete it by the due date. So at present, she actually has 2 items that are not completed by the due date. You then have a list of up to 13 tasks, which shows you all of the tasks which haven't yet been completed. So if we look at our final tab, this is our sales VAT Tracker tab. So this tab can be used at the point in which you are now having to track your VAT. So currently it's going to say £0 because we haven't included a sales tax rate or a VAT tax rate yet. So if we go back to the setup tab, and we are going to include the 20%. So now we can see from the 1st of February to January 2027, we've only collected £250 of sales VAT. This isn't the revenue, this is the actual VAT amount. So it's only taking that VAT amount from each sale. Now, if you want to look at this from a different month, you would go to the 1st of the month that you're interested in. So we'll go to the 1st of January. So if we're looking at the 1st of January, we can see that we collected £620 in VAT and then £250 in VAT. Up here, it tells you the total sales tax that has been collected, your highest month, which is January, your lowest month. What it's doing now is because all of the months are 0 from March onwards, it's taking the 1st month, which is why it's telling you that it's March. But say all of the months had different amounts in it, it would take the month with the lowest month. So our average sales tax is £72.50. That's the 870 divided by 12. Down here, you can do it by quarter. So once again, you're going to select the 1st of the month. So the 1st of the month for the quarter that you're looking at. So if we're looking at January, we can see here that we have the £620 that we collected, £250, and then £0 for March. You'll be able to see the sales tax for the quarter, which is £870, highest month, which is January, lowest month, which is March, and then the average tax collected. So this is just a snapshot and an easy way for you to be able to see how much tax you're actually collecting in your business if you are registered for VAT. And at the top, we then have a graph which basically just illustrates your highest VAT collecting months. Now that is our appointment and revenue system of VAT monitoring. If you are not purchasing the appointment and revenue system of VAT monitoring, the whole tracker is exactly the same. The difference is it doesn't include the VAT monitoring at the top of your business overview tab. Other than that, it still includes your sales tax column for those of you who have to collect sales tax and pay sales tax over. And it still includes all of the other features